All right, Jodi, we are live on the Happy Whole You podcast. Thanks for joining me.
I am overly excited to be here with you.
All right, can you share just what are you passionate about and who are you?
What am I passionate about? My first instinct, and don't be weirded out by this, but I'm super passionate about the Grim Reaper. And I know that is probably a very offensive answer to people, but the reason why, is because for those familiar with the old adage, memento mori, remembering we must die, I am fascinated by how most of us don't want to think about death and the Grim Reaper. But if we do, it's actually this portal to going, wait a minute, right? Thank you for the reminder, the horrible reminder that our time is limited, because now at least I realize and remember and I stop taking life for granted. And I'm more inclined to now actually want to live with more gusto than just going about my days because I just mindlessly think they're going to continue. So that's what I'm passionate about. Oh, and does that thoroughly weird you out? I'm just curious.
No, it doesn't. I really appreciate the reminder that we don't get to be on autopilot in our lives. We can choose that. But it's an awakening when you realize, like, where did the last 5 years go? Where did the last 10 years go? What am I doing?
Right.
And being intentional with your life.
Yeah. The autopilot is like it's one of my favorite words because that's what it boils down to, that you have very adeptly found the bottom line. And we're inclined to do it. It's normal, which I always like when, okay, good. This problem I have, at least it's normal. I'm not the only one. And the issue with it is sometimes we do need to go into autopilot because life's so stressful, right? So like we need to just zone out and go through the motions just enough to feel like you get a breather. And yet, like even the words I just used, going through the motions, all of a sudden getting swept up with life where you don't even find it discernible that today's Wednesday versus Tuesday. Is your life actually happening to you versus are you stopping and going, wait a minute, am I savoring it? And I'd love to talk with you about savoring because it's not necessarily like we have to do all these glamorous, glitzy sounding things that are often really require a lot of time and money. It doesn't even have to be like that, right? To make sure we're living before we die. But you're right. It's just like at all costs, I call it living like a squander-free life. Because by the way, I know it's my inclination to squander my time and take it for granted. So trust me, all this is because I'm the problem. I know. So I want to have a squander-free life. And I think many of us also want the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Why did you start talking about this? I know you've done a TED Talk, you've been on a lot of podcasts. You've really brought this a reminder and awareness to the masses. But what brought you to this point?
Yeah. In addition to always just finding it fascinating, the weirdness of wanting to love life and working hard at it in whatever domain, right? Like working out or like trying to be healthy, right? Or any kind of self-help situation. And then the weirdness that all of a sudden one day we're going to be gone. That is so absurd to me. And that's always just been fascinating. But I would say the biggest life motivator for me was losing my mom when she was in her late 50s. And she died of a heart attack and it was not expected. And I had the job of cleaning out her apartment after she died. And she had a lot of stuff and she had this huge roll top desk. And I've drawn it and I've put it in a couple of different presentations. Just visually, it's helpful. But I was throwing away her dreams because she had a bunch of manuscripts. She was writing a kid's book, short stories, novels, illustrations. She had business plans that I always knew about over the years because she was super industrious and had all these ideas, but she didn't execute on them. And so part of it was because she didn't have money. That's a bit of a barrier. But most of it was that she just kept thinking, I'll do it someday. I'll do it later. And then here I am, huge black garbage bags, throwing away. No, I did keep a couple of manuscripts. I wasn't a complete animal. Yeah. But it was this sad moment of, oh my gosh, like this is where dreams went to die, is this roll top desk. And like, then she died and it's buried with her. And so I realized my own inclination was to also have these ideas, but not take action on them. And because of a lack of confidence, also just a delusional idea that I'll get to it.
Yeah.
But now it was like this very cold water in the face of, oh, honey, like you may actually not have the time you think. And what are you waiting for? What do you have to lose? Like for my mom, she was afraid of rejection, mailing out her manuscripts. And so it was always safe to think I could just mail them out. You know what? I'll get to it maybe later this year. But that didn't come. So I really got afraid in the right way of not wanting to die with regrets. And that helped me really focus on avoiding it in my own life and studying it. And then, of course, yeah, hopefully like bellowing it from stages.
Yes. So what is one thing that you kept putting off, but you've fully stepped into it because of this beautiful gift your mom gave you?
Wow. One of them at the time was that I was in a job that I was fine, but I'd reached my limit. And so that's the problem too, right? It's like sometimes things
Oh,
are just okay enough that you all of a sudden you can tolerate it. It's fine.
got there.
And then the trappings of success, right? Pay is really good. And I like the ego likes the title and all the things, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
but you're ignoring the fact that you're just actually not really happy. But okay, but it's fine. So
Yeah.
this was a opportunity for me to be like, you're scared. I felt stuck. But it was again this sort of, oh, well, sweetie, no one else is gonna find you the next thing. Like, you're gonna need to do the work somehow to figure it out, and maybe that means leaving and taking a risk, and maybe that mean whatever it's gonna mean, but you gotta do something because do you wanna live a life that is characterized by settling? That's like a cousin of regret, or that's like a precursor to regret. So I anyway, for me, it was like, I need to make a move from this decent but mind-blowingly boring corporate job.
And so what did you step into?
At that time, I moved into leadership development and coaching. So I went and got certified. I did a year-long program, and I then worked with leaders because my history and my background corporately would have allowed for that for me to do leadership development. And I did that for 10, 12 years, and it was very good also. And I'll just share with you, I've always had this niggling feeling about wanting to explore this carpe diem topic that life is short, let's get on with it. But again, I also started to feel my default setting, which was fear, which was, I don't know what to do with it. I'm confused. And because I didn't know the answer, I therefore did nothing, which like seems reasonable, but it's also no answer. It's not going to get you anywhere. So I went to school for graduate school for positive psychology at UPenn, and I did my thesis on this topic of memento mori. I was like, can this idea of death actually really scientifically be good for us? Can it help us to motivate us?
Yeah.
And thankfully, the evidence was pretty clear. The answer is mostly yes. Like, obviously, it's a terrifying topic and it's not exactly appetizing, but it's also very, like, it's the ultimate deadline. And it did provide me with the confidence to say, okay, there's enough substance out there. And now I'm actually going to start 4,000 Mondays and I'm going to use this as my platform to just start writing and speaking and trying to gently shake people by their shoulders to wake them up to live before, in fact, we do die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is 4,000 Mondays?
4,000 Mondays literally is roughly how many weeks we get to live.
Mhm.
And I have made it a practice to count how many Mondays we have left. Counting how many we've lived, that's lovely. Yay, let's celebrate them. But really, the interest here is let's flip the hourglass. Like, how much time is left? So
Yeah.
this week I've got 1,738 weeks left, Mondays left to live.
Wow.
And I find that to be necessarily motivating in a just morbid enough to take action way. Yeah, what would it be like? Like, for you, would you be the type to wanna counter Mondays? Or some people are like, "Nope, don't wanna know."
Yeah, I love this idea. I love this concept because when I started looking into your work, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need this."
Mm.
Because I'm the one that literally for the last year and a half, I've been writing this book and it's ready, but it's not fully ready, but it's ready. And I have another book that I'm like, "Okay, I'll start that when I'm done with this one." So just the fact that you shared that story about your mom. So I get it. I get the urgency,
Yeah.
and I also get the opportunity to be really present, and you talked about savoring. So what did you mean by like, what are your tips to savor these moments?
Yeah, the cool thing about savoring, and this is rooted in the science of positive psychology, so the science of well-being, is that savoring can happen over 3 different time frames. So you can savor the past, you can savor the moment, and you can savor what's to come. So it's like there's no shortage of ways to do this, people. So savoring the past would be like looking at your phone and be like, "What was I doing a year? Show me the pictures from our trip to the Galapagos or whatever." Like fond, flipping back through memories, remembering the good times. That's like a good boost. Savoring the moment is all about being mindful and present. and that I struggle with, but that is really paying attention to your senses, right? So that would look, for example, being mindful of, okay, my time's limited and I've got a 20-minute break today between maybe meetings or stuff, and like stopping and saying, what would make me feel alive? And I have a cheat sheet because, to be honest, in the moment, my default is I'm going to check emails. And that's so deadening.
Yeah.
It's not enlivening unless I get an email from you. But otherwise, I'm sure that'd be lovely. But the alternative is like, what if I just sat outside for 10 minutes and maybe I could bring out a drink and just sit and look at the birds. And maybe I'm texting a friend just so I'm feeling I'm double tasking, and it's like I'm enjoying this moment, right? That is simple and sweet. And again, it didn't cost anything. I maybe didn't answer 7 emails that I would have normally answered, but is it worth the lift of looking out and going, "Oh my gosh, I saw one of those weird bluebirds, and I'm gonna look up what that bluebird is. Oh, it's a grackle. I didn't know that." And then all of a sudden, like, you're just feeling alive in a different way. So
Yeah.
that's savoring the moment. And then I am a fan big time of savoring the future, so it's anticipation. And I'm a big fan of identifying at any given moment. Here's our rule of thumb, okay? In our calendars, I encourage us to have something to look forward to within the next week, month, and year of our lives. And again, it doesn't have to be that it's this fancy jet setting trip or this massive thing, right? Because that's not reasonable for most of our lives. But I don't know, like when I look at what I'm looking forward to within the next week, I'm going to like this new wine and cheese shop with a friend. I'm really excited because I think that they have manchego. And I'm very excited about manchego. Or having these little things that are just, again, they don't have to be monstrously expensive or they don't need to take a ton. It's just something that makes you feel a little bit like that positive boost. And again, it's like, how are you going to wring the experiences out of life so that you feel like at the end of a week or a month or a year, I participated, like I showed up and I lived. I didn't just, again, let the days pass me by.
Yeah. I love that. So something I'm excited for the week, the month, and the year ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I put you on the spot for any one of those, whether it's a week or a month or a year? Is there anything that's delightfully on your mind that you're looking forward to?
I am looking forward to an opportunity that I have a call with somebody on Thursday. That is something I've been like calling in. And in the next year, I'm gonna do my TED Talk. I just got in the semifinals for a couple TED Talks, which we talked about that before. And literally it just came in. And then in the month, this may be weird, but I'm actually my husband's father has dementia and just moved back to town, and I'm looking forward to getting him settled in a space that can help him because I know that it's gonna help take a burden off my husband and even myself. But I'm trying to, as crazy as it is, enjoy this process of helping him, even though he's been absent in our lives. I've only met him twice in my life. So it's a very interesting thing, but it is, I think, for me, really shifting the perspective of these are the things I get to do versus feeling like I have to do these things, and then to just embracing them and trying to be present. But I come from that hustle mindset, from that rush, get it done, do the 7 emails, and let's do about 700 more before I go home today.
There will be no time for bluebirds.
No time to see my hummingbirds out back. Like, no. Yeah, so it's like, I so appreciate this conversation because we can hustle our way, like, to the grave, and it's like, why are we not embracing these moments and savoring them, like you said, and enjoying them, and then really paying attention of how many do I even have left?
Yeah.
And, yeah, so good.
Okay, your examples are so fabulous because especially the one talking about your father-in-law with dementia and my welcome to the club is my dad. I moved him last year into assisted living and he's experiencing his own transition into dementia. And I will share with you, this is a good example to talk about these different dimensions of life. Like I look at it as we want to live wider and deeper, and so wider is the fun stuff. That's vitality. That is the example of like me wanting the cheese and the wine. And it could be like some of the fun, lighter touch things that are just delightful. The deeper side of things is the deeper with meaning and having purpose. And your example of feeling like, I think I'm really going to feel like you're looking forward to, even though it will be a challenge, getting your father-in-law settled. And it's going to mean some of it's task oriented, yeah, being productive. And a lot of it is knowing that it's an important step in his life and it's connection and meaning. I think that that's a good example to say, let's honor that life is going to serve on its platter all the things, right? All the good and the bad. And so I think acknowledging, even when something is not what you planned or asked for, it's that you can make the meaning out of it and you can actually feel like, wow, that's alive. Like last year, moving my dad into his own situation was one of the most meaningful years of my life, even though it was ostensibly one of the least enjoyable. But it was so meaningful. And you know what? I wouldn't trade that for the world. That was aliveness in its own different brand.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? The meaningful, but it's not enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like,
There's
it's
so much
such
research around the trade-offs for that. So, a lot of the things like I've not raised kids, but word on the street is that it is not always fun, but at the end of the day, you do feel like, "Okay, that was meaningful and purposeful." Lots of example like, even, like, training for marathons, there's lots of examples out there of the things out there that are bittersweet, the trade-offs of something that makes you feel really, "Ah, I did this tough thing," but
Mhm.
while doing it, oh, that was no one would ever sign up for that level of fun. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So, we're midlife.
Mm,
Maybe we can at least share that it's pretty our life is half over.
yeah.
And when you go on stages and you talk with people about this, is there anything that is common that you see among the feedback or the questions or the fear that you've witnessed within people?
Yeah, I love this question so much. And I know no one really asks it. And I think it's important because I get excited that it comes up a lot when I will start to talk about how, okay, essentially, life's short, let's go out and live it. What would it take for you to avoid what I call a pre-gret, getting to the end and feeling like, man, I never did that thing I always wanted to do. I call it a pre-gret because it's not a regret yet. It's just a regret maybe in the making unless you course correct it. And one of the things that is beautiful that comes up is that for a lot of people, a thing that they've identified that they would regret if they were on their deathbed tonight, it's usually the result of a little bit of fear. So some of it is the belief that I'll do it later, which is a convenient excuse and very satisfying psychological landing pad to
Yeah.
believe I'll get to do it later. And we store up our scariest, most risk risky dreams there because it's like, I don't have to feel bad about myself if I haven't started it because then I haven't failed or haven't been rejected or whatnot. So I think that fear is this very common thing we experience. And then it's that acknowledging that it takes courage to live. I think Seneca, age-old philosopher, has said that
Mm.
the courage that it takes for us to actually get up and out there and approach life. And so some may say that of course, it takes courage to approach a big dream. But sometimes for some of us, it's even, it's courage in a different dose of even just getting up and out of the house to go to the concert or like book the trip. And maybe it's a bit inconvenient to go and do the thing, but that will deliver joy. And making these decisions to say, wow, like for me, this full life, if I would really regret, for example, not learning how to speak Italian, but it takes effort to go and learn how to do that. And
Yeah.
so sometimes it's just acknowledging that we have to override the fear, the discomfort, because the path of least resistance is living a life that essentially is just easy and on the couch. And trust me, like I love watching shows on the couch. And I have to be reminded, I talk about this all the time. We need to be reminded to live, and I do.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But acknowledging what do you want to do? What would be a pre-gret that you would have if you were gonzo tonight? That you
Mhm.
could say, wow, it's an opportunity that I have. Like maybe I should book that trip. Maybe I should plan. Maybe I should download the app to help me speak Italian. Or maybe I do go and apply for that program at school that I've been wondering about. Maybe I do go and volunteer. And even though the time isn't right, the time will never be right. But what we do know about time is that it is limited. So
Yeah.
why not just, again, make the bold choice to do it anyways?
Yeah. So good. So something just came in for me, and I've never said this before, but I don't think it's fear that's holding us back. When I really think about it, I think it's disappointment because I remember, I think it was Robert Doyle that said we're only born with two fears, the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. This has been proven in science. And when he said that, I was like, okay, that's interesting. So all of our other fears have been learned. But as I sit here and hear you talk, and I'm thinking about why are we not, writing the book? Why are we not applying for that job? Why are we not starting the business? I truly think in my heart it's disappointment. It's not fear.
Tell me, this is fascinating.
I know it's just coming in. I don't know, but yeah.
Disappointment that, like, we don't wanna disappoint ourselves, that what? Okay.
Will fail.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a fear. I think it's a disappointment that because it's not gonna kill us if we try. Like, fear is really, like, dying, falling. So, it's really the disappointment
Yeah.
that it won't go how we think it'll go.
Yeah.
And that disappointment and the meaning we give it and how it'll hit us inside
Mm.
is what we don't really wanna feel.
Yeah. Yeah, and that leads us to then playing it safe, and that's the homeostasis comfort zone of, "Wow, I do get to not take a risk. I get to" that's the difference between playing to win versus playing not to lose, and when I learned about those words, I remember feeling, "Oh, that's me, I play not to lose." Like, I will intentionally, because again, I just
I've done this. It's
Right.
guys, I've never heard that said before, but thank you for that.
Thank you. Right.
I just wanna not F it up. Like, I just wanna not disappoint myself and other people probably.
And I know how to do that, which means don't fully engage. And okay, we could get to the end like that. And I know, it's like Ben Franklin says, most people die at 25 but aren't buried till they're 75. It's like a version of that, right? Where it's that we're just not plugged in. Back to the idea about courage and taking a bit of a risk and just going for it anyway and being willing to go, here, let's compare the difference. I hear about people's pre-grets all the time, right? Oh, I really would love to start the Etsy shop, or I would really love to go back to school, or whatever it is, right? There could be a very profound feeling, maybe when you get to the end and you go, wow, I went and I applied for that big job and I didn't get it, or I went and I got married and like it didn't work out. And the disappointment that happens from that, let's hold that. That's crappy. Yep. Okay. Put it over there. Compared to the distinct feeling of getting to the end and feeling like, what could have happened if I did it? Like, I didn't give it a go. I didn't give it a chance. And I'm saying this also because I've had the benefit of looking at the research and seeing that the regrets that people have of they're called regrets of omission, the regrets of the things they didn't do. Psychologically, they tend to really toy with us because we often like to fantasize about all these versions of our lives that could have happened. We don't really enjoy that because we think, oh man, I really could have been happy if we moved to San Diego. Or wow, what if I did apply for that job? I would have at least, even if I didn't get it, I would have been proud that I tried. So those two distinct outcomes. One is you tried it and it didn't work, versus you didn't try it and you'll always feel like I didn't play. Like I was on the sidelines of my life versus getting on the field of your life. And I think that, again, trust me, I'm very well versed in just not engaging just to feel safe. But I also know that every time we give it a go and it doesn't work, there's still a very distinct feeling of at least feeling proud that we made the effort to live and to feel something and to go for it. And we usually learn and recover, and it leads to something else that's pretty cool and great. So I think that's the encouragement, right? Is what's the alternative to not living? It's being dead while we're alive.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's definitely not fun to think about. So, as we wrap up here, if somebody they're hearing this and they're realizing I've been on the sidelines, I haven't been savoring anything, my life is just passing me by. What, what advice would you give them? Would it be the thing this week that you're looking forward to this month, this year? What would you essentially to wake them up? I mean, I hope this conversation wakes a lot of people up because when I started looking at your stuff, I was like, "Oh my gosh, hello," because we need this reminder. But what would you say to them?
Yeah. So it's an important question because it is ultimately a then what? And I think that it's really important to not feel pressure to then do so much, because that's usually not sustainable for us. So number one, recognize, oh man, you're so not alone. It's like we're joining the club. And then number two is, I think it's important to identify one thing you might want to take action on. So we talked about those two dimensions, right? About living wider with vitality, that's having more fun and experience. That might be Sisley for you. Yeah, I need to have more fun out there. Okay, hold that. Or maybe for you, it's that I'm having enough fun, but I just feel like, what's it all for? It's empty. I want to do something with more meaning, more spirituality, more connection. If that's the thing, that living deeper, that it feels more resonant for you, then but these are just your little tells to identify one thing that might be a pre-gret. If you were to be on death's door tonight, which you won't be, everyone knock on wood in unison, and then you get to go, wait, if it's the widening thing of it and for fun, I've always been wondering about that bookbinding class that they offer at the community center. Then I was like, you go register right now for the bookbinding class.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm saying it so threateningly. I'm saying it lovingly. Or maybe it is the deepening, like, wow, I really would love to go and visit my cousin in Nashville and be like, you know what, maybe that's your
Or your
option.
friend that lives in another state, for my friends that are still in Michigan.
Okay.
Come see me.
That's your action item. Come visit. So, Anna Marie, that's what you got to do. So it's just identify what's one thing that would make you feel alive and go do it. And if that still feels like a lot, like registering for the class or booking the trip or whatever, just write out a little list of, I often say, write a list of even 10 things that just make you feel alive and happy. And for you, it could be looking outside at the birds, or it could be, wow, I feel really creative when I am writing a letter to a friend and I put it in the mail. You know what? Maybe that's the one thing you do by the end of the next couple days, just as a vote to yourself, as showing I'm the kind of person who does things that shows that they're alive and that I care about this life I'm living. And that usually then starts to lead to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And next thing you know, you are like undeniably alive.
Oh my gosh. Jodi, thank you for waking us up.
It's the alarm clock of life. That's why I'm sponsored by the Grim Reaper, man.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Thank you so much for joining me. Can you share with everyone where they can connect with you and just go hear more to be reminded? Because we all need these reminders.
Oh, thank you for even asking. I'm at 4000mondays.com. There's a calculator there to help you calculate how many Mondays you have left. Because again, super important math. Mortality math is the most important thing you can do. And obviously, I'm here on LinkedIn on Jodi Wellman. So thank you for having me on your show to have this conversation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us.